Avert high communication services costs. As established, communication is a basic necessity and therefore a human right. Basic modern methods of communication necessary to participate in society and the economy shall not be curtailed by any government nor institution. This I believe. So, by extension, 1. You should not be made to pay to communicate even when using modern technology. 2. People should not be exhaustively exploited as they are by being charged ridiculous sums to communicate. And 3. People should be given the benefit of the free market and be allowed to enjoy the competition of their providers for lower costs. I believe these to be quite reasonable requests, so let's dig into the details, okay? First, as established earlier, you are being forced to pay to communicate using modern methods, cellular phone, telephone, and internet networks. Because it is necessary to remain involved in the modern economy, you have no choice when the choice is to pay or be destitute. This is despotic, barbaric, and undemocratic. It is no different than forcing you to pay. Furthermore, depending on your location, not having a cellular phone and paid service for it is potentially dangerous, since public payphones are a thing of the past, and calling for help or emergency service can happen only if you or a good Samaritan around you has a cellular phone to call. I could not think of a technology more critical outside of basic needs. So, governments and corporations have smelled the blood and are out in a frenzy. They know you need your means to communicate and are poised and ready to exploit you based on this need. They want you to pay and pay big. Second, it was earlier established how very few telecommunication giants dominate and manipulate the US and world markets, ventriloquizing the prices you must pay for telecommunications technologies and services. Governments have allowed corporations to merge over and over to the point where only a handful of humongous enterprises now exist. These then gobble up smaller competitors as soon as they become a viable company. The myriad of smaller companies are allowed to exist only as fronts to the workings of the larger ones. Allowed to exist only because they largely depend on the infrastructure and price dictations of the large enterprises. This situation where captive populations are made to buy products and services from a few providers naturally causes a runaway effect on the cost of telecom technologies and services, the likes of which we are experiencing today. Quality cellular phones can cost upward of hundreds of dollars and even over $1,000 for the latest and greatest models. Cellular telephone service may cost from $50 to hundreds of dollars per month in the US, perhaps slightly less in the wider world. The average cellular phone bill in the US adds to nearly $1,371 per year. Add other communication services bills such as internet services, paid television, and landline telephone, and amounts get farther from the comfortable reach of most US citizens, and certainly cause economic stress for the rest of the world. In fact, communication is usually bundled in the cost of housing, because it is sometimes considered a utility, making the largest expense for most US households. Adding a cable TV, internet, cell phone, and streaming services is not uncommon to pay a conservatively estimated $280 per month, that's $3,360 per year. Late fees, repairs, replacements, and other unexpected charges can rack up your yearly communication costs near $5,000 per year. Ouch. Some horror stories where your bill unexpectedly swells up can batter your finances even further. I am sure just about everyone has had a horror story to share about their cellular phone, cable TV, or internet service provider. I have had the chance to work for several telecom service provider companies including Bell South, AT&T, and DirecTV, and I can tell you that there are too many horror stories in memory alone to list here. It is common knowledge that for-profit corporations, as all communications companies are, strategically price their technologies and services to maximize profits. This means pricing to capitalize on defaults, late payment fees, reconnection fees, insurance fees, and many other types of fees. Timing of their billing cycles and when mailed bills are sent are at times strategically done to minimize payment time and maximize late payments, thus capitalizing on fees. Convenience fees and other dubious fees are routinely inserted in your communications service provider bills. Things like 911 services and FCC fees are included on your service bills, as if these agencies are not being thoroughly funded by other taxes. The bold high costs and the brazen fees charged by communication service providers are abusive and out of control. The slaughter must end, and And stepping outside of this for-profit grid of services is the most powerful way to do it. People have found creative and excruciating ways to pay for communication services because they don't know alternatives exist, and because it would be so devastating to just stop communicating. Lastly, the telecommunication industry has been inching toward becoming a practical monopoly for decades. Large mega telecom corporations keep gobbling up and allowed to merge with other telecom smaller corporations. This gets us closer to having only one giant corporation dictating how much and what customer service quality we get. For example, the industry is controlled by a handful of giant telecom corporations.
Corporations like AT&T,
Verizon, T-Mobile, etc., while the many smaller telecom companies do and say whatever these top few tell them to. So, even if your company is a smaller, seemingly more affordable and friendlier telecom company, this is only an illusion, because they can only charge and do whatever the giants allow. This is so because the giant telecom corporations own the bulk of the infrastructure used by all telecom companies, the satellites, ground cabling, and the towers that span the globe. Without these, no telecom company can exist, and the small companies do nothing but rent space on these infrastructure owned by these giants. Thus, the price of your communications is ultimately dictated by a handful of companies. So make no mistake, you are paying what these giants demand and not a penny less. Ultimately, this situation is close to a monopoly with very small amount of competition. And make no mistake, these giants are in close cahoots with each other, high-fiving behind closed doors while acting like bitter rivals in TV commercials. They all control the price you pay for your internet, phone, or TV service, and they are each year extracting record profits from you, the customer. As I will detail later, communication may be completely free from monthly charges if you so choose, but does take a relatively small initial investment and learning its operation. Technologies like radio transceivers may allow for free over-the-air communication. Television and radio are also still free when over the air. And there are programs like the FCC's Lifeline which may provide basic internet, telephone, and cellular phone services to low-income people. You may access open and freely accessible networks with available antennas and wireless computer network adapters, which can provide just about everything you need to communicate and stay informed and entertained. Alternatives to just paying for your communication services may save you hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars per year, all whilst becoming more tech-savvy and staying a participant in our modern economy and wider society.
Thank you for listening to this podcast or watching this video. Please subscribe, like, and share so you can support this work and so I can reach more people like you. If you'd like to support this content further, please click on the links provided here. Thank you again. Have a great day.
Thank you.